Right, so we are going to specifically look at India in this section, which becomes one of, if not Britain's most profitable colony and its most complicated colonial relationship as well. So we got to lay a little background. There's something called dietary laws. Right? Now, that's laws about what you can and cannot eat, and they're usually religious based. Like in Judaism, for instance, they are not allowed to eat pork. In Islam, they are not allowed to eat pork. Right? So Islam, right, has this dietary law: you're not allowed to eat pork or any pork products. In Hinduism, you're not supposed to eat beef. Right? And in India, the two largest religions are Islam or Hindu. So that means almost everybody in India has some sort of dietary law. Either they're Hindu and don't eat beef, or they're Islamic and they do not eat pork. Right? So something happens in India called the Sepoy Mutiny. Remember, Britain basically took over India and began to take over India when Aurangzeb began to persecute the Hindus and the Mughal Empire fell apart. Well, the British, the way they tried to control India was through indirect rule by using a trade company called the East India Company. And the East India Company operated on behalf of the British government. And the East India Company, this trade company, hired Indian mercenaries called sepoys. Now, since the sepoys are Indian, that means they're either going to be Hindu or they're going to be Muslim. Most were Hindu. And because of that, that means your sepoys are going to have dietary laws. If they're Hindu, they can't eat beef. If they are Muslim, they cannot eat pork. Right, so a sepoy is an Indian mercenary, right? And so that means they're either going to be Hindu or they're going to be Muslim. Well, there was a rumor that started to spread that the new bullet packets for their new rifles were greased in cow and pig fat. Now, rifles back then they're called what we call muzzle loaders. You've seen them in movies and TV shows probably, where you have to pour the gunpowder down the front of the barrel and then shove down the musket ball or the bullet, and then you would shove down wadding, usually a greased piece of paper. So what you see on the screen, on top, of course, is the rifle, and the bottom is a bullet packet. What the British started to do is inside each packet there was enough gunpowder and the bullet for one shot. So you would put that bullet packet in your mouth, and you would rip off the top of it and pour the gunpowder down in there, and then shove the bullet and paper down the barrel. Right. Well, the rumor was those bullet packets that you see on the screen were greased with cow and pig fat. Which, if you are a sepoy, you're Hindu or a Muslim, and if it's greased with cow and pig fat, you certainly cannot put that in your mouth to rip off the top. You can't even technically touch it. So the sepoys refused to use these new bullet packets, because this would not be the first time the East India Company was disrespectful towards the native religions. Well, that meant the sepoys were disobeying direct orders, and so the sepoys started to become arrested and thrown in jail for defying a direct order, and so the sepoys rebelled. Now, the Sepoy Mutiny, also called the First War of Indian Independence, failed. It did not work because not all of the sepoys rebelled. Not enough of them rebelled. There was no clear leadership in the rebellion. There was also religious tension between some of the sepoys because some were Muslim, some were Hindu, and it didn't work. What did happen, though, is Britain ends indirect rule, and they get rid of the East India Company, and they switch to direct rule of India, and they put a British official in charge of India with the title Viceroy. So the Viceroy is the British official that will run India on behalf of the British government, right? So they switched from indirect to direct rule, and the Sepoy Mutiny, the First War of Indian Independence, is a failure. It does not work.